Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my non-binary friends, what the fluff is going on? We have a beautiful episode today. We have streamer, photographer, mother, factory worker, and just an incredible human being and such a beautiful conversation. Everyone, please welcome Triple Baby.
Hello.
Oh, well, hello. And I am already recording. So just frickin' it's on.
Let's go.
How are you?
I am as good as I can be. How are you?
You know, same. I mean, well, no, I guess technically one could always be better in some way, but
Very true.
just, one of those days. Freaking Caldera.
I haven't got a chance to play. I've heard mixed reviews.
Yes. They are quite mixed. I played Halo today.
Wow. That
Yeah.
interesting, huh?
Yeah, that was it was. I'm still trying to figure out why it got to me so much because I've never set ever since every update past Halloween of last year for Warzone has been absolutely tragic and sad and very underwhelming. Oh, I lied. Stadium. I really enjoyed when Stadium was introduced. Other than that, hasn't really improved much. So I set my expectations quite low, but still ended up, I was almost in tears because it was just that disappointing.
I feel like there's always so much hype for an update or something new, but it's almost like anticlimactic because we all know how it's going to end up.
Yeah. And did you did you see that Ricochet isn't even out for the entire game yet?
I did see that. That's wild.
There's truthfully, I feel betrayed by the developers because this game isn't ready for us. There's still more time with Verdansk, truly. This just doesn't. Maybe tomorrow, maybe there was something with the fact that it only half the people got it, but yeah, maybe it gets fixed with everyone coming in.
I'm gonna miss Verdansk a whole heck of a lot.
I am too. I really did enjoy it. I just feel like if they would have kept doing more with that current map, it could have been incredible.
Absolutely.
Doing exactly what Fortnite did. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm still going to play. I also think leveling guns would help because there were a couple guns that were just, you get hit twice and you're done. So.
Did you ever play Blackout?
I did not. I take that back. I literally played one game at my friend's house and that was it. And I was like, oh, this is really fun. And then I totally forgot because I was in a relationship and didn't play video games.
What I was terrible at the game. It was my first battle royale type feel. But what I loved about it is every season they changed the map up just enough to where we loved it. Like snow piles everywhere, or during the fall the trees would be orange. Like it was just awesome.
What?
Something simple like that would have done Verdansk so good.
Aren't these the same developers as that too? Or is this completely new?
I believe so. I mean, it was Call of Duty, but I don't know the ins and outs.
Oh my gosh.
But like literally piles of snowballs that you could pick up and throw at enemies.
What?
Yeah, like just so interactive. It was amazing for that.
There was a little bit more by more interactivity, I mean there's a gas canister that you can hold and light on fire and stuff. Yes. But that's, otherwise I don't want this to exist on the internet with just me shitting on this game. Because Call of Duty, you guys have done really well. Just as someone who cares a little bit too much about the game, you let me down. And I don't like to be let down. So please stop doing it to all of us.
Tomorrow will always be better.
That is so true. At least we can hope it will be. or
Yeah,
less
we can hope.
challenging. We can hope. So what is your, is that a mantra? What are your PMA phrases? Do you have that? Is it just a state of being?
I don't know. Lately, I've just been trying to keep it as positive as I can, you know?
Yeah,
Like there's always that little voice inside that just wants to flip the script and go negative, but there's something more that's like, okay, we can get through this.
I hear that. Yeah, I guess I'm trying. Yeah, that's the when does obviously if you can be positive the entire time, that's ideal. But at what point does the
Um,
negativity become, or even criticism in general, when does that become too much and fit
that's such a
and
good
mess with your own
question
brain?
because for me, personally, I feel like I go in waves. Like sometimes the waves are really strong and I can't control it. And then there's other times where like the water's kind of bumpy, but I can kind of get a feel for what's coming next. Um, but for the most part, once when you hit rock bottom, I feel like you just have to like grasp at straws and hope one is the one.
Agreed. Do you feel that it's in relation to the activity you're doing, or do you feel it's more random? Do you feel a mix of both?
Definitely a fair mix of both because there's sometimes where like I'm not doing anything, which might be why I try to stay busy so much. Because sometimes when I'm not busy, I feel like it creeps in a little bit more.
Yeah. What is that you're speaking of? Say more of that. Just negativity
Um,
or anything
I don't
specific?
know. I've al- mm, I've always kind of explained it, at least to myself, as kind of like a shadow or like a darkness
Yeah,
that tries to like take over your mind.
I hear that. I think I
And
use like a storm cloud, same thing.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes it's uncontrollable.
Yeah. What is the thing you care most about? If, and this is just a strange question, so if you can think of it, God bless you. The thing that you care most about, but you're able to be the most chill with.
Oh man, I would have to say, oh, I mean, obviously, the thing I care most about would be like my family,
Yeah.
but they also drive me crazy a lot too.
Yeah. As family should. That's why I feel maybe that one's not. That's
Ye-
just inherently a
yeah, that's what I'm
stressor.
thinking.
But just in
um,
life, in your passions and your hobbies, what's something that like would you say that negativity would be stress? Is that, or would that be something separate that you're dealing with?
I don't know if it would be separate. I think it's all kind of mixed up and all just one big ball of, you
Okay.
know, you know what I mean?
So negativity could be stress, anxiety,
Yeah,
a
yes.
okay, okay, okay. Awesome. I love
100%.
that.
I can physically tell when I'm not being my best self. And that could be when I'm
Mm,
stressed or when I have a lot going on or if it's, my kids are acting up or just little
yeah.
things. I can physically tell where I'm like, "Okay, Brie, you need to step back and reevaluate and figure out a different way to go about things."
What is that feeling for you?
It's usually like one of those days where you're so frustrated with things for no apparent reason and then like your shirt will get caught on the doorknob when you're trying to
Yep.
walk through the door
Yep.
and you're like, okay, no, I'm so mad right now about this stupid doorknob. And then that's when I'm like, I'm being irrational.
No, and that's what
That's when I know.
no, and so what so your realizing of that is more cognitive, of more I just made an irrational, or I'm having
Yes,
an irrational thought. It's not
100%.
actually, do you get any sensation? Do you get pit of the stomach? Do you get little weight in your chest? Anything like that? Or is yours mostly your awareness is more cognitive?
Mine is more cognitive. Like it's almost like
That is
um
amazing. I am so fascinated by this. Okay, keep saying stuff.
it's really weird. It's almost like an outside force like slaps me on my head and is like, "What are you doing? Like you need to just
Wow.
calm down and go about it a different way." Now, there are some days where I'm like, "Nope, I'm going to stay on this path. We're going to be mean and miserable all day." But then there's other times where I can snap out of it and figure out, okay, this is a fork in the road for today, and we're gonna take this path.
So what determines whether you sit with it or you put it to the side? Is it what you have going on? Is it more of a
Yeah,
necessity
absolutely.
thing?
Because,
Okay.
well, there's a lot of days where like I can't be in a funk. Like I have a
Mm,
photo session coming up or something like that, so I have to figure out quick how to reassess my feelings or my emotions for the day and figure out how to make it better.
I love that. And I was just, yeah, there was just something on the Man Enough podcast about something similar about not only how to manage but contain and then be able to process later because you can't or I don't want to say you can't. Do you find yourself taking a time to then process that stuff that you might have had to push back? Or does it like is that a part of that ritual or would you say
Um,
that it might end up in more of a reactive uh coming to the surface? Does that make sense? Is that
yeah. So
okay?
for me, in the moment, I feel like I put it kind of like in a pot on the stove in the back burner or on the back burner. And then, you know, through the days, through the weeks, I'll add just a little bit more every day to it. And then eventually it just boils over.
I
I'm sure
see.
everyone's kind of heard that analogy.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I have to literally take care of it.
And what does that look like for you? And how do you know you're at that point?
I know I'm at that point when I no longer can contain or relax myself. And I
Okay.
usually, what I'll do is go to my room. Sometimes I'll write in my journal. I literally have a journal for every year of my life since like fourth grade.
Holy hell.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so I'll do that. I also have people that I vent to.
Yeah.
Uh and sometimes I'll just come down to my game room slash where I edit and I'll do some photo editing because then I'm in like a completely different mode and
Yeah.
I just it just releases everything.
Interesting. Are you a crier? Is that it, any part of that, or does it all depend on what you're working through?
Uh, I mean, I don't want to say I'm not a crier,
Yeah.
but in the moment, not usually.
Okay.
If I do cry, it's because I watched like an emotional movie or something like that, and then
Nice.
that triggers like a spiral.
Yeah.
But there are times where I just like, for example, the other day I walked outside and it was snowing, and it reminded me of when somebody that I lost was in the wintertime, and then that snow brought back that feeling, and I just bawled all the way to the store. And it was like
Oh.
uncontrollable,
Yeah.
but it's okay.
Was it one of those, did you feel good after?
I don't know if I felt good after, but it did feel better to like not hold it in.
That's what I meant. Yeah. Was there, I guess maybe not better. Was there a release? Was there a feeling of less
Yeah,
tension?
for sure. For
Nice.
sure. Because we don't always have time to grieve
No.
over people or I mean, I feel like grieving it defines so many different things. You can grieve, lost loved ones or things that you didn't get to experience throughout life. Like grief is so many different forms.
Yeah. You grieve parts of you that change. Like as you grow through
Yes.
life, yeah, that's the hard part. You like grieve your youth. You grieve just different aspects of yourself.
Yes.
It's so powerful. Yeah, that's I think Glennon Doyle was saying it's life is just like living a bunch of tiny deaths. And that's what it is. Just
Definitely feels like it sometimes, doesn't it?
yeah. It's it's so strange. Even with
I
like
agree.
such appreciation of where you're at and everything that happened, there's still that sadness there or that loss. And it's
Oh
just
yeah.
so
There's definitely, for me personally, I have a lot of voids, and I'm so thankful for those voids because I wouldn't be who I am without them. But they're still there, and they'll probably always be there, and that comes back to grief.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Voids. Would you mind speaking more about that?
Just so, for example, a lot of people already know, but I don't have the greatest childhood.
Okay.
And so when everyone else is talking about their childhood, it kind of sends me into like, well, I don't have the best one,
Yeah.
and I have a hole where I wish I had a better one, so that I could come back and like experience all these good conversations, but I don't always have those.
Yeah. Do you ever spend time like grieving that, or just trying to heal? Like, how does one heal from that? How do you?
I have not figured that out yet.
Yeah. That's so wild.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize that you can carry any kind of trauma um forever.
Oh yeah. Jeez. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
It's not like I don't want anyone to be sad about it. It's something
No,
that
I
I,
mean,
and through streaming especially, I've related to so many people. I don't want to say like I have a terrible childhood, but there's just
yeah.
things like my parents were split up. I bounced around several different homes, like that kind of thing. So like I
Yeah.
never felt stable. But now it's like I know how to give that to my family. And if I didn't miss out on those things as a child, I don't know that I would be able to provide that now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In a way, it sounds like you have sort of healed that by just being that for you're literally just being that for yourself.
Yes.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful way of going about it. How
Sometimes it's the only way.
hey, freaking men, dude. What has been the biggest benefit of streaming through your healing? And then what's been the most difficult aspect in terms of your mental health with streaming? Because that's a double-edged sword.
It is. So one of the most beautiful things is providing like a home for people that feel like they don't have one.
Yeah.
You know, I've had a couple people reach out to me specifically and say thank you for being a late night gamer, because without that, I would sit in my room and not have anywhere to go and just be in my thoughts. And so, really just thank you for being on so late.
Oh my gosh.
And then some of the issues obviously we have with the constant want to get bigger and grow as a streamer, but also just not feeling like there's enough of you to go around.
Yep. Wow. And how do you navigate that?
Well, when I took a long hiatus, like a 2 or 3 month hiatus back in, I think it started in May, maybe June. I don't remember.
Can you talk
Um,
us through what led to that?
yeah. So originally, well, the first thing was my son had a cancer scare. He was not even 2 years old yet.
Okay.
So that was
Wow.
like what started it. And then I had heart issues that I didn't know I had, and then was diagnosed with a heart aneurysm. So that happened. And then it was like we got hit with COVID, and then my son had to have surgery. So it was just like a lot of things that I was trying to deal with, all while still dealing with the mental atmosphere of streaming and being a photographer, but also a full time mom and a full time worker. And so I decided that streaming had to just be put to rest for a little bit.
Yeah. And this was this March?
I think it started in May.
Oh, May. Pardon me.
Okay.
Ems. Okay. Wow. And what?
May or June. I don't remember exactly when.
Okay. And what was it? Just what were you doing to prepare yourself to come back to streaming, or was it yeah, like what was your objective in that time off? Was it I need to be better for me? I want to be better to get back to stream? Like how did your healing and your self-care, what did that look like in that time? And then what brought you back? When did you finally decide like, oh my gosh, I'm ready?
Well, I started talking to a lot of people that had similar things going on in their life to see how I could like work through them. So there was that. I continued writing a lot. But to be honest, I went into like a really dark space for probably like a month.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how I do it, but I always seem to like pull myself out of it. You know, everybody preaches like take medication, do this and do that, and nothing against that, but like I've tried medication and I can't bring myself to do it. It makes me almost feel like reliant, I guess.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to be strong for my own self. So I just kind of work through the dark days and I figure it out somehow. I don't have an answer to how I figure it out,
Yeah.
but I just get there somehow. And um I honestly didn't know if I was going to come back to streaming. I was kind of just ready to sell all my stuff. I actually unfollowed a lot of people just cuz I kept getting notifications and it made me um not angry, but like that could be me, or I really do
Yeah.
miss that, but also like this is really annoying to see people going on with their great lives, you know?
Yeah.
And so I unfollowed people, but not out of anger, just like I need a break, like
Yeah.
altogether.
I need to not see this. My brain
Yeah.
just needs to be away from that space.
Yeah. And then over time, things just gradually start to get better. I feel like once you hit that rock bottom, there's always like a better day.
Yeah.
And then, a couple days later, there might be another better day, or at least like a better time frame. And then I don't know, you just kind of keep hoping for more light to come in.
How, yeah. And I want to know just how you keep that patience. Because that is sometimes, do you feel like was it something you learned as an adult? Was it something that you feel like you just had bouncing around and all of that as a child? Was there always just there has to be better? Or was that something you had to adopt as an adult?
I think I learned probably as a child that I had to be my own supporter.
Mm,
And that sense just kind of got bigger as I grow into an adult. Obviously I'm married and I have a very supportive husband, but at the end of the day, we all need to be strong for ourselves, and that's something that I try to never lose, because I feel like if I lose that, then like my foundation is gone.
yeah. Holy wow. Damn, I'm getting did you do you watch Joe or listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, or have you watched the episode with Jewel specifically?
I have not.
Oh my gosh. You have a very similar style to her in that I mean, I don't know your specifics, but her childhood was absolutely awful, terrible. But that was her sort of her framework was, I'm not going to be another statistic. I'm not going to be like, there has to be a way that I can make this. And just through journaling and through developing her own little systems, was able to develop this incredible mental attitude and way of going about life to just kill it. And that's
Absolutely.
so incredible. I know mine definitely was not from, or at least did not start from a place of that, I don't know, internal drive. I don't even know how to label it, but just from your inside. Mine was more external, and then like, oh shit. All right, slowly starting to realizing it, and then coming to. But that's so incredible. And that you were able to do it from so young is
Yeah,
awesome.
I definitely think growing up the way that I did, and I have great relationships with my parents now. But I definitely think growing up the way that I did, it taught me a lot of like self-awareness.
Mm.
And I did, honestly, I did feel alone a lot, but I think that's a lot of why I am the way that I am today, because
And
I did feel so alone.
what would you describe as the way that you are?
Like I feel like I could survive anything.
Mm, that's awesome.
But there definitely are days where I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna get through.
Yeah.
But then you just do. Like there's just something that you just do.
And you said you have journaling. Are there any other ways, other practices that you're doing, or is it literally just you journal and then your brain just saying like, "Nah, we're gonna do it"?
So I remember I was in your stream. I think it was last week or maybe the week before, but somebody asked you if you had ever tried to write, and you were like, "Well, I don't. I'm more of a talker type deal."
Yeah.
And I wrote in there, and I don't know if you've seen it, but there's so many different ways to journal. Like you can write to yourself, but for me personally, I write to someone else. They don't
Mm.
ever get it, but
Yeah.
I always write as if I'm writing to someone else. Um, so that's kind of how I get through to it, because I kind of feel like that my journals get somewhere, like somebody
Yeah.
out there is reading them and it's helping other people. I know it sounds really weird, but that's like how
No, that's
that's how I started it when I was in fourth grade, my fourth grade little self. And it just kind of stuck. But I also 10 years ago I started writing a novel, and I don't know that I'll ever finish it, but that has helped tremendously too, because there's a lot of things in my past in that novel that a lot of people don't know.
yeah.
And so it's kind of nice. It's like you kind of just bleed on paper.
Bleed. Wow. I've never heard that before. That's beautiful actually. Do you go back and ever read your journals? Or is it pretty much just gone after that?
Sometimes, sometimes I'll go back and skim through some, and a lot of them are super funny. Some of them are really dark. And because when I was little, I used to write every day, whether it was a good day or a bad day. Now I really only write when it's a bad day,
I
because I
see.
don't have time to always write the good stuff. But it is kind of nice to go back and see all the good things that did happen, even though I was going through some of the hardest times in my life.
Yeah. Jeez. And how does uh photography play into all of this? Because I mean, journaling, novel, even streaming, you are clearly a creative. Uh how does photography fit into all of this? And you also, okay, and then I'll ask more questions.
So I don't I don't know how it fits in. I don't know where it started because I can't remember. I was actually thinking about this earlier because I saw an episode of America's Next Top Model, which I didn't even know that was still on TV, but I remember watching that as a child. And I always watched it, but I didn't watch it for the show. I watched it because I like to see the end of the pictures.
Nice.
And that is like when I think it really started. Like I was really interested in like the setup and the scenes and stuff like that. And then literally every Christmas I would ask for a new camera. And then I realized that I had more of a passion than I thought during high school, when everybody was like, "What are you going to do after high school?" And I had no idea. Like I didn't get the calling to be a teacher or a doctor, nothing. I had no idea what to do. And then I took my graduation money and bought a camera. And then it just spiraled into what it is now.
That's awesome. So how long have you been photographing professionally now?
I would say probably 8 years. Even though I
Damn.
even though I started so much longer, or I started longer than that, but I didn't always charge. You
I
know,
see.
I started, $20 a session just so that I could learn.
Yeah.
Some even free.
Oh my god. Wait, would you mind me asking how old you are?
I'm 29.
Okay, I thought so. I was like, wait, 8 years. Holy hell. Dang. You have done, and then, okay. So, photography, streaming, you mentioned working as well. Do you have another job?
I'm a full-time factory worker.
What in the shit? You
Yeah,
are
so,
okay. Say more.
I work for and I don't want to like upsell it or anything like that because it's not glamorous, but I work for a GM supplier that makes heavy duty axles for the Silverado line.
And how long have you been doing this?
10 years.
And how does one get into this?
Well, it used to be you had to know somebody to get in there, but now times are tough and we're just trying to get anyone we can at this point.
And what I meant, like, what got you? How did you start at a freaking factory working on axles for Silverados?
I started my first job my junior year of high school working for a printing company. Just like a small little gig.
And you're from where? Pardon me. Sorry.
I am from Michigan.
Okay, continue.
Yeah, factory life.
Makes sense.
So I started my first job when I was 17 working at a little printing company, and I realized, every paycheck that I got that I wanted more. And that was kind of like my drive. That's when my drive started. Like I wanted to be successful. So my stepdad at the time, he worked there at the factory, and he was able to help me get a job in there, and then it just stuck. I only wanted to be there for like a year to get money for school, and then I decided that I didn't want to go to school, and so now I'm almost 11 years in, and I'm not really sure what the future holds, but I'm sure I'll be there for a while yet.
What do you do there?
So I'm on their final assembly line, so the parking brakes, I specifically install the hubs. And then, beyond that, the shafts, rotors, I mean, all the stuff that you can look under your truck and see, that's what we do.
What? That's so cool.
It sounds cool, but it's,
the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy, so, wow. How I am always fascinated by people who do a lot, let alone mothers with kids who do so many other things. Like, what is your me time? Is that just journaling? Do you get any? Is it the drive to and from work?
I don't really have any me time.
And is that one of those negativity things? Like at some point you're just like, I need to be alone, or are you pretty okay?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Like sometimes I'll take the long way home. Sometimes I sit in my car in the driveway before I go inside because I know that's where the madness is.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do, when I do my photo sessions too, that's like kind of like my getaway too.
I see. So would that be your? Yeah, with that, I mean, do you have time for hobbies? Is that the hobby that fortunately you get to get paid for? And then streaming, of course.
Yeah, basically, because I love both of them. They're not like, I mean, they're both jobs.
Yeah.
It's a lot to handle, but I love them. I love, as soon as I hold my camera, it's almost like I'm not even there anymore. My body just kind of goes.
Yeah.
And then with streaming, it's just, I mean, it's just fun.
Yeah.
Even with the ups and downs of it, it's just fun.
What's your favorite part of streaming besides having the community? Like, what is it playing certain games? Is it challenges with chat? Is it, or I guess I should phrase it as this: do you have a favorite stream moment that you can remember?
I would say getting to meet so many different people that I've played with. Some people just, I don't know, like I have a weird sense of humor, and I love getting to meet people that can give it right back to me. And I just remember there's so many moments where I'm a crier when I laugh, and I would just be crying on stream from laughing so hard, just from having so much fun.
I love that. I'm the same. I cry, laugh so hard.
Me too.
I just cry with everything: anger, laughter, joy. There's tears adjoining.
It's good. It's good to cry.
It feels lovely. But that's so cool. And then what is your favorite aspect of shooting? You do mostly portraits, yeah? Or of people? Portrait, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
I obviously love meeting new people, but I love the behind the scenes stuff. I love editing.
Really?
Yeah, I can get lost for hours. Like, when you start streaming and sometimes you're just having such a good time you don't even realize 4 or 5 hours went by.
Oh yeah.
And that's how I am when I'm editing pictures. Like sometimes my husband's calling downstairs like, "Hey Bree, are you going to come eat?" Like
I love
dinner
that.
time.
Oh my goodness. And so what's a day in the life of Bree then with all of these put together?
Okay, so I wake up about 5 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Get I usually lay in bed till 5:32 because I'm super tired,
Nice.
and then I'm out the door by like 5:45.
Okay.
And I get to work. I work from 6 o'clock till 2, and then I get my kids. We hang out for a little bit. Sometimes I have a photo session or two in between work and stream, but I stream at 8 o'clock at night, and then I go to bed around midnight, and then I do it all over again.
How do you survive on 5 hours?
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone asks. Everyone asks. Some of my friends are like, because sometimes even after I stream, I'll get on because I'm just so wired. I'm not ready for bed yet. And I'll start editing and I'm posting pictures on Facebook, and people are like, "How are you awake at 1 o'clock in the morning when you have to be up at 5?" And I don't know.
Do you partake in any extracurriculars?
I do.
Alcohol, cannabis?
I No. I mean, I lately I've been having a drink or two here and there, but
Okay.
nothing else.
Dang. And I assume you've always had this work ethic, this drive.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
I think I think for me being busy is key. I think when I'm not busy, I kind of that's when I start to sink back down into that funk just because
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything. My mind's not occupied.
That's so interesting. So you don't do you so you don't really have any mindless things. Like, are you big TV? Do you watch TV at all? Is it, or are you pretty much always active in whatever activity it is that you're doing? If that makes sense.
If I can watch TV, I love watching TV. I love watching movies. We love going to the movies. Granted, COVID has
Yeah.
shifted a lot of that process, but we love movies. I love reality TV. But usually when I'm home, I don't have a lot of time to watch TV, so that's a bummer. But usually after stream, I'll watch something.
Jeez. That is, I don't even, wow. You are a remarkable human being. That's that's so
I
cool,
wouldn't go
man.
that far.
I mean, I would. Because I mean, anyone who's able to take, regardless of how you do it, I mean, the fact that it's so internal is incredible. Because I mean, of course, anyone getting to that positive or being aware and choosing, actively working in their brain to choose the best thing for themselves isn't always something that you're able to figure out yourself. Sometimes you have to get into it so many other ways. And so it's always wild when someone's just able to be like, no, this is kind of like, I already know this is out there and I need to find a way to beat it. And then you do. And that's just
Yeah,
so cool.
it's really hard sometimes. My family has a lot of mental illness um strung out through different members of the family, and so I kind of see bits of myself within them.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're totally functioning people, but I can see where I might have gotten some of those traits, and I want to I always try to like get ahead of them, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
That really does. Do you have, I mean, do you have any diagnosed mental illness, if I may ask? And feel free to not answer.
I've never been officially diagnosed with anything. When I was in middle school, I think my mom took me to the doctor for depression because I was super tired and, just kind of in one of these dark spots. And she didn't really know what else to do. The doctor looked at me for 5.5 seconds and said, "Here's a bottle of whatever the F medication it was. Go take it," and sent me on my way. And that was kind of like the start of, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
You didn't even try to help me, but you want to give me medication. And I think that might be like the stem of where I'm like, okay, I can do this because I never took them.
Really?
No,
That's
I couldn't do it.
interesting.
And there's sometimes like this year when I went through all of my stuff, I had a couple people saying it's okay to go to the doctor and, possibly get something for how you're feeling. And I almost did because I mean, just super lost.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't. And some days are harder than others, but I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, am I making this hard on myself for any particular reason? Like, could it be easier if I chose, medication or
Yeah.
other routes of, self-medicating? And I don't know the answer, but I don't know that I'll ever know.
What commits you to you? What, I mean,
I'm
even just saying
stubborn.
that, you really.
I'm so stubborn.
So
Like,
again,
I
just
don't
a
swear. I don't swear. I literally have never said a swear word. It's stupid.
ever,
Ever.
just because you won't, like
Just
you've
because I
decided.
won't. I am that stubborn. And I've had people offer me money and like concert tickets and I just won't. Like it's just not in my vocabulary.
Do you think swear words ever? Like,
Not
is it
really,
everything you
no.
have to filter?
Not really. It's the weirdest
What?
thing. It's the weirdest. I swear my wires are crossed somewhere because I it's just not there.
I just found a new life goal
It's so crazy.
to find a way to have you swear.
My dad, he'll talk to my husband sometimes and he'll be like, I know that she's said, this or that. And my husband's like, no, she really hasn't. Like I no matter how mad at me she is, she never swears.
I
So I am just stubborn.
I really want to know. Okay, never mind. Continue. Like not.
What do you want to know? I have to know now.
Like not even in the boudoir.
No.
What? I am blushing so hard. Ooh, ah. Okay. All right. We're gonna get over this.
Do it.
We're gonna get over it. We're gonna get over this. Why? Do you remember why this started? Do you remember how this started?
Yep.
Okay.
So, okay. I got mad at my stepmom one day and I wrote in one of my journals that she was a B word, so to speak, and I spelt it wrong even. And anyways, they somehow my stepmom found it. And I got in so much trouble for it that since that day that I wrote that word in my journal, I have never said nothing.
You haven't written one?
Day.
There's
Nope.
never been a cuss word near you unless it's been uttered by someone else.
Correct.
Does it make you uncomfortable when other people cuss?
No, not at all.
You're just like, not for me. Oh my God. That is so incredible. Do you have any other? I don't even want to call it stubborn because that's just self-will. Like, do you have any other of those?
No, I mean, I guess as far as like, so growing up, the high school and college phases, granted, I didn't go to college, but I was invited to several parties. I totally bypassed that stage, decided it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I never smoked anything, never got into anything like that. I didn't even really drink. I still don't really even drink. Like, I'm the most boring person.
That's not boring. It also seems like you have a lot going on, so it's not possible for you to
I
be
do
boring.
have a lot going on.
You don't stop. Do you stop?
No, not really.
That is so wild.
Like I posted a picture that I took of a little girl and she's making this expression, and my caption to it was, "Is it Friday yet?" Then after I posted it, I was thinking, well, Friday doesn't really mean anything because I'm shooting a wedding on Saturday, then I work Sunday, and then I go, the rest of my work week continues, and I never am really getting a day off.
When was the last day off you've had?
I took this Monday or last month, no, I'm sorry, this Monday off, but I was working the whole time doing pictures. So even though like I take vacation from my job, I'm never really vacationing.
I mean, do you do you remember the last time you took like an actual day off? You didn't edit photos, you didn't take photos, you weren't working at the factory.
Probably Vegas.
See, and I was almost going to exclude Vegas.
Because
Excluding Vegas.
I did work Vegas.
See, and that's but
that's
that was
just,
also still I will okay, I can let that slide because that's with
yeah,
friends. That's still work, but that's like play. That's play. Let's be honest.
It was amazing. I mean, 2 days of my trip was dedicated to work, but it was still amazing at the same time.
Yeah. And then so then before Vegas?
I couldn't tell you.
Oh my goodness.
I really could not tell you.
See, and this is why I have to work on my own self-guilt, because it's like I take 2 days off, come back for a day, have a half bad day, and I'm like, I want to go back to doing nothing. And then you're like, well, yeah, I've had a day off a couple months ago. It was nice. I still worked.
Yeah. You definitely have to find a good balance. I know for me, like if I just continue being busy, I'm good. But it's then when I do take a break where I'm like, oh, I could get used to this.
Really?
And then I don't want to be busy anymore.
So it's not even that the negative thoughts creep in when you're less busy, but you also just enjoy not being busy a little too much sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. I mentioned like vacation blues.
Yeah.
A couple times to you, and I definitely get those. Like, wow, this is really nice, not having any obligations and not having to worry about, what pictures I have going on this week or what the kids are doing, what sports we have to be at, what doctor appointments. It was so nice in Vegas because we were just there and there wasn't anything, and
Yeah.
it was weird. Like, you know, it was almost like on a high.
Yeah. Yeah, that's dude. And the crazy thing was, it was still work in a way.
In a way. My
But
mom always says, you have a hustler brain.
you do.
And I've definitely learned that that's probably the most accurate description of who I am, because whatever I'm doing, I always find a way to, I don't want to say make money off of it, but be successful with it.
Interesting. And would you say be successful is usually monetarily achieved, or is it that it just so happens that the things you're getting skilled at you can monetize?
Definitely both. Like,
Okay.
for example, my husband and I, we made a COVID purchase. We got a side by side, so like an ATV off road vehicle type deal. And I told him, I was like, oh, like this is where my brain is. Where he's like, we can go on all these amazing trips and have a good time. I'm like, we can put a plow on that, and you can plow during the winter and make some side cash.
Nice.
That's where my brain is.
Wow. So you are a how can we make money off of this thing?
Basically, I feel like whatever we're doing, whatever anybody is doing, is a chance to have some type of success, whether it's big or small.
And are you defining success monetarily?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay.
But that's always a perk.
Yeah. So was that always a part of your stay busy as well? Was that incorporated into your stay busy, or was that something that came a little later?
That definitely came a little later. Like I said, there was, 3 years when I was doing pictures where I was not, I mean, I wasn't making anything. No,
Yeah.
no money was achieved. Just because I was building a portfolio and trying to save up for, a new camera or a new lens, which a lot of that stuff is not cheap.
No, not
And
even close.
yeah, so no, I wouldn't say that it's always been monetarily based.
When, do you remember when that started? Like when that idea popped in your head? Was it with photography and then bled into other things?
Yeah, there was. So with photography, it was just one day out of the blue. Someone said, "Hey, Brie, I missed out on seeing your pictures. Do you think you could take a couple for me? I'll give you, I think it was $20 at the time, something like that." And I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'm not doing anything. Let's go." And then I had a couple more people ask me. And then that just is where my photography career started because I was like, wow, I can actually make something out of myself and do something I love at the same time. And then as I saw that, I was like, well, what else do I love that I can be successful with, but also make money too? Because ultimately, I want to get out of the factory. The factory
Yeah.
is breaking my body, but I can't do that because I don't have a college education.
Yeah.
I I basically put a bet on myself at 19 years old that I could be successful without going to school.
I love that. Was that intentional? You did place that bet with yourself?
Kind of, yeah, because I don't know, growing up the way that I did, I feel like life is too short to be anything but happy. And I know that sounds cliche,
No.
but I'm not willing to sacrifice that happiness.
And would you say that your current factory job is contributing to the happiness? Or would you say like how yeah.
I honestly, a lot of people hate the job. I don't mind it. I go there, I get to listen to music all day. I get to listen to your guys' streams all day. I
Oh,
don't
really? You
have
get to have them on? Just
Yeah,
earbuds or something?
we don't have any, like, nobody really bothers us. We just go for 8 hours a day and then we go home. So it's kind of like a little, I don't want to say break because we are working, but at the end of the day, 10 years later, my shoulders jacked up, my hands have, what's it called? Like carpal tunnels starting, my back
Holy
is hurt,
hell.
there's just, and I try to explain that to people because while they see me like not doing a whole lot at work, like it's a lot.
Yeah, that adds up over 11 freaking years.
Yeah, for sure.
Dang.
We lift 25 pounds 400 times a day. Some people lift more than that. So,
Oh, you're freaking strong as shit, huh?
not really.
Just for that one
I
piece
can't
of equipment.
I can't do a push-up to save my life, but I can pick up a 25-pound hub 400 times. Doesn't make sense.
I mean, it does. That's a pull motion,
True.
you know? So if there's anyone that has a car stuck on someone, you are the person to come and lift it up.
Yeah, we'll try.
Perfect. Do you see yourself, is there an end goal for the factory? I know you mentioned earlier that it's still a couple years. Is that something you see being able to happen soon with photography? Is there a timeline with that?
So my ultimate goal is to get out of the factory and become a full-time photographer. However, because of streaming, it's kind of opened all these doors that I never expected, but I always wanted.
Yeah.
Like traveling, I was able to travel to Vegas for the convention, but also I was able to do photos of the girls. And now they're reaching out to me saying, hey, do you want to go here with us for pictures? Do you want us to come there so we can get some pictures? Like, it's kind of amazing
Oh
at
yeah.
how that's opened the door.
I love that. What does that mean for factory?
I would ultimately, I would love to quit, but I'd also one day, if I plan on staying there, I would like to become salary at one point.
How long do you have to work there to get that?
It's I mean, typically you're supposed to have an education to even be considered, but
Oh,
because of your skill and what you know, some people get hired in a salary just because of that.
I see. Interesting. So would you take photography full time over salary?
Absolutely, 100%.
Nice. What would be your dream photo shoot?
Oh, that's so hard. Um, Probably somewhere in Alaska or the mountains, anywhere with mountains, just because it's beautiful.
Okay, green or snow? Either.
Either or,
Okay,
either or.
just a hill.
Yep. Um, and it could be a couple or a family, but I would just love that kind of scenery because we don't have that here in Michigan. We have farmland and that's it.
Really? I would have thought there were more hills and stuff.
No, I mean there are some, but not like that. Not even close.
Interesting. And and it's also lovely that you'd like a family or a couple
Yeah, and
and
that's what I
not.
do. I love working with families, but I also really like the more like model type photography, like what you've seen with Lynx and Lady
Yeah,
Geek and Queen Eliminator. I love those types of sessions too, where it's more like, well, theirs was in a hotel, but I have my studio and I love that kind of feel too. So I love it all.
that's so fascinating. Do you have any photography inspirations, or is it more of just I like that?
It's more of a I just like that. There's
I see.
so there's so many good photographers out there, and there's so many different. No two photographers are the same,
Yeah,
and it's just amazing that what you see and what you take a picture of, I can take a picture of the same exact thing, but it will be totally different. And that just fascinates me because that's life. Like
yeah,
what you see, when you look at me, you see something completely different than when I look at me.
yeah. That's beautiful. That's awesome.
I just love it all. I love everything down to the technology, to the editing, to the people. It's just I don't know, like I said, I never had a calling for anything else but this.
So would you say that photography is your calling?
I would definitely. And I struggled with that for a long time because, I grew up with my dad in my ear saying, whatever you do, you need to be something that if the world ends one day, they will need you.
I,
And so I was always dedicated to going to school and being something that I would be needed. I needed that.
yeah.
And so when I chose not to go to school, I got a lot of flack for it. Um, but then, a couple years ago, my dad was like, I'm proud of you.
So
And
was
so
keep
it's
going?
just amazing. It's just amazing because the one person that I tried not to let down, I did let down because I didn't go to school. But then for him to turn around and say, wow, like you're actually doing this, like it's doable.
Dude, where does that strength come from? Is it still just you knowing what's best for you? Because especially, I mean, a father, like that's just something so strong to be able to go against that level of pressure, if you will.
I don't know. I think it comes back to being stubborn. I always have been the
Mm,
person to go against the grain, the black sheep, if you will. I've always been like that. And sometimes I know it's intentional. Like I'll be like, nope, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do something completely different because I don't ever want to not stand out. Like I have a fear of being I don't want to say forgotten, but I want to stand out all the time.
really?
Yes.
Ah.
Which is totally weird because I get super anxious. Like like in Vegas, I was super anxious to meet a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
But then you do and it just works. I don't know.
Where where does that come from?
The anxious,
No,
the anxiety.
the betterness in a way of just
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to say it's a like a feeling to be better. I just
not better. That was the wrong word, but continue. I didn't mean
I
better.
no, I get
Apologize.
what you're saying. No. I just, especially with photography, the market is so oversaturated, so if you're not fighting to stand out, you you lose.
Yeah,
And I learned that early on in my career, and I've applied that to a lot of things in my life.
I see.
You know, with streaming too, I've had a lot of people come in my chat and they're like, "Wow, you're a girl and you're not wearing a cut shirt or something like that," which I don't mind.
Yeah,
I always say that when they come in my chat and they say that, I'm like, "Well, what would it matter if I was, you know?"
yeah.
But for me, I'm coming on the stream wearing a t-shirt, I'm coming on the stream wearing a hoodie, like I don't get dressed up. It's just like I just want to be different, I guess.
And that's what I meant. I didn't mean, yeah, I didn't mean better. I meant different.
Yeah, no, I get it.
That's so cool. Yeah, my my do you does your that this is where my brain was going. Does your need for stubborn slash differentness ever inconvenience you? Like it's not inconvenience you. Is it ever irrational? And are you aware of it, or are you intelligently stubborn? And if it makes sense, you'll give in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I would say there's probably been a couple times where both scenarios I can see.
Yeah.
Like there was a studio that I really, really wanted. It was in my hometown and financially it didn't make sense, but I wanted to do it so bad because I would have stood out. It would have been amazing. But it was almost one of those things where like if you're gonna jump in, you need to do it with both feet. And I wasn't there yet. I wasn't there yet with both feet. So I told myself, no, I'm not gonna do it. Even though that would have been such a great opportunity. I
Yeah.
knew that it wasn't the right time.
I see. And no, I mean, so I'll give an example. My ex, it used to be like she was so stubborn that if you just asked her to do one thing, she'll do the opposite. Like, you don't tell me what to do, even though it wasn't like a tell you what to do
Oh
type of
yeah,
thing.
for
Is
sure.
there that? That's more
Like stupid stubborn. Yeah.
okay. I just wanted to
Um,
know that because that's always funny when someone knows they're stubborn and they know the extreme level to which they are, but it's just like, again, stubborn in their stubbornness of just what the fuck do you want? Yeah, that's how it's gonna be.
yeah. Yes. Oh, for sure. And I'm 100% aware of those times, and my husband will be like, "Just chill out."
And how does that go?
I usually get in my car and go for a drive.
Oh,
I'm one of those. Like, I'm gonna go calm down.
that's lovely. Okay. Well, good on you for being able to do that. Again, very aware. You are a very aware human being.
I try to be, but there's also times where I'm just not.
Yeah. Again, that's human. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, we all have those moments where there's a couple minutes or whatever just happens and you're like, "Wait, what was that? What was my who was that?" in a way.
Yes. Yep.
And it's
My
managing those.
my husband all the time will go, "You're acting like your mom right now," and I'll think about that statement after the heat of the moment is over, and I'm like, "Oh, I am acting just like that."
So is that a wake up button for you?
Kind of, although like my mom is the sweetest person, but like my it goes back to those mental illness things. She has like bipolar and stuff like that, and she's very open about it. She talks about it. Um, but I can see maybe where like my mind wants to go there, but then there's something in me that like I'm holding onto the door frame before I get there, and I'm just holding it so tight that I don't fall in. So I don't know.
And what is there any way you can walk us through what you're like, what that internal dialogue is happening? Like how are you able to hold on? What is that feeling like? What are those thoughts to yourself like?
It just goes back to like grasping at straws. Like you don't want to be this way. That's what I say all the
Mm,
time in my head. Like you don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. So just hang on a little longer, and then eventually, your other hand gets stronger, and you're able to grab the door frame a little harder and pull yourself up.
that's beautiful. Cause yeah, that's it's one of those how people an exercise or whatever to get over anxiety, and it's you put yourself in a extremely anxious situation, allow yourself to just do that, and then after you realize that you didn't die and that you can do it,
Yep.
and it's literally, yeah, it's just holding on. That's I'm stealing that
It's
because that's so beautifully true. Just waiting
it-
until that extra hand gets strong enough, and then you can
yep.
pull yourself up, and then maybe you're gonna get your chest out, and then maybe you slip again, and then maybe you get that chest out, and then maybe that's wow.
As long as you don't let go of that one hand, you
Yeah.
can make it.
Holy hell.
Definitely been a long road to finding like any kind of internal peace.
Yeah.
But once you find that, I feel like life gets so much easier. And like I said, I have so many dark days, and I'm so thankful for like the warm people in my life that light the way when those days get dark. But like if you can just find that internal strength when you do get there, it helps so much.
Do you remember when I mean, was again that always there, or was there that moment where you were like, I can do it? I don't even know if that's a proper
Um
question. I'm just still
I
so enamored by it. Like that's so that analogy was so crazy.
I don't know if there was like a moment, cuz I've always felt that way. Like
Yeah.
I've always felt like as long as you have that hand there and you're never fully taken over by this emotion, you'll be okay. But I do remember one of the biggest moments of my life was when I was 7. I was living with my mom, but then I got moved in with my dad, and I remember just feeling so like lost. And that I think when my 7-year-old self, I think that was when I was like, you got to buck up and just figure it out.
7 years old. That is that is incredible that you were able to do that and have been able to do this.
It's exhausting sometimes, but and like I said, there's so many days where I'm like, I should just go to the doctor. They'll probably give me 5 different medications and call it good, and my life might be completely different, but I'm stubborn.
Uh, do you ever foresee yourself giving in or no? Or is that a take every day will be different?
As of now, I don't think so, and I think I'm getting through like the hardest part of I don't want to say like the hardest part of my life because I don't really know what that's going to be, but
Yeah.
my kids are growing up, they're becoming more and more independent. They don't need me as much, so I'm able to do more things. And so it's kind of getting easier now that they're a little older, but that's not to say something might happen down the road and I'm going to have to
Yeah.
figure out my next step.
But for now, it seems as though the hardest part of your current awareness is behind you.
Yeah. Now now the dark days really is just feeling that all those voids that I was talking about and how they're
Yeah.
still there and they kind of creep up sometimes. Those are definitely big attributes to the dark times. And I'm so thankful for the people in my life that are able to talk me. I don't want to say talk me out of those moments, but
Yeah.
get me through them.
Talk you through them.
Because
Yeah.
I feel all those moments. I feel them, but you just gotta get through it.
And is it just self-talk through those moments? But if you, what are you doing if you don't have someone to help talk you through? Are you journaling? Are you
Yeah,
self affirmations?
yeah, journaling. I I don't know. It's so hard. I just keep doing.
Yeah,
I figure it out. I don't know. Writing and working, that really just keeps my mind. And I don't know if it's because, staying busy is what I'm used to, but it also is like some form of um stabilization. Like, you work every day, that's always going to be there.
yeah.
So keep going. When a lot of people get sad, they want to stay home and they want to stay in bed, where when I get sad, I need to go out and do something right now.
That's also so beautiful because that helps so much.
It really does. And I try to explain that to people. Like when one of my best friends went through a really hard time, I'm like, if you can just keep going, get out of bed and do something every day, it will get better faster.
Yeah, that's actually so true. I can think of so many instances where not doing something has just prolonged the hurt or the negativity, as opposed to literally just getting up and walking outside. Doesn't even have to be
Absolutely.
anything extravagant. I don't have to go and lift 1,000 pounds, but literally the act of walking out the door and getting in the car and even just sitting in the car. Like that's the thing. It doesn't
Yes.
have to be, I feel like we all, or at least, yeah, we all think there has to be this grand escape from sadness and suddenly everything's great. And it's like, no. Yeah, I feel like we're just re explaining the gaining strength to just put your hand on the door. It's literally just doing
Mm-hmm.
one thing. It's walking
Mm-hmm.
outside and getting your mail. And then maybe you come back in and you sit inside for the rest of the day. But it's still something that slowly allows your body and your brain to get out of that place.
Yeah, because you can say, you know what, I did something today versus, man, I feel really upset because I didn't do anything today.
Yep. And then you feel that little bit of proud for doing something. And then you're like, I'm going to do two things, or I'm going to
Yeah,
do this one thing for a little longer.
it's almost like when you start a diet and you're really good, you do really well the one day, and then you kind of want to keep doing well because you are doing well.
Yeah.
You want to keep going, and then you have that bad day, and then you don't want to get back on. So every day you just have to keep trying to do your best.
Yeah. Just keep showing up.
Absolutely.
Wow. I mean, honestly, I don't have anything else. That was freaking lovely, man. It was an absolute treat.
Thanks for having me. I really hope that somewhere along the way, I mean, I know we didn't really dive into the details of anything, but I hope somewhere along the way someone can hear this and say, I can put that other hand on the door and we can get through this.
That's all we can ask for.
Absolutely.
Brie, thank you so much. Absolute pleasure. Is
Thank you
there,
for having me, dude.
of course, is there any specific, and yeah, I hope you're okay with dudes and mans. I feel like it's a little late to ask an hour and 15 minutes in. But
No, that's like
that
my
is the,
vocab.
okay, perfect. I was like, that is the currency of my soul as well. Is there any place that the people can get you? Is there any, yeah, what do you got going on in life that the people should know? Anything people can look out for or go and find?
Like my socials?
Yeah. Or websites
I
or
mean,
anything. You got, what do you got stuff to show off?
we're triple brie on all the socials, and then existphoto.com or existphoto on Facebook. Super easy.
Is that EXIST
EXIST. Yep.
photo? Hell yeah. And then just TRIPLEBRIE or the
BBBrie.
Okay, I just had to make sure.
B in there.
So, okay, well, you said triple brie. You didn't say triple
Yeah, that's true.
BBrie.
You got me. You got me.
Okay. Yes, I get to end on a win. All right. All right, we need to hang up fast. No, thank you again so much. And yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Me.
Of course. And I will let you know when this bad boy's coming out.
All right, sounds good, dude.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my non-binary friends, there you have it. Holy hell. I feel like I was literally talking to Jewel. I am so enamored by people who are able to figure it out themselves, and people who are able to just have that internal fortitude and that internal drive, because it's something like that level of awareness is something that I haven't even had 2 years of yet. And she was figuring this out at 7. And that's also so sad that someone has to figure that out at such an age, but what a freaking superpower to gain. And just what a superpower of a human. So Brie, thank you so much for that conversation. And thank you for your vulnerability and for sharing all of that with us, because holy hell, that was awesome. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Yeah, like it, follow wherever it is that you're listening to this, and thank you for listening. I'm mind blown. This one's gonna sit with me for a bit. So yeah, thank you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.